Okay, so like I said, thank you everybody for being here to the closing ceremony of WMGIC 5. It was great to have you all this week, and we're so impressed by the turnout and by the incredible innovation and innovative thinking that we saw in the participant judging rooms today. So great work to everybody. Thank you all so much for giving your weekend to us here. So like you all know, because you've been doing it for for the last week, WMGIC is a global innovation challenge, kind of the only one of its kind at the collegiate level that is a 24-hour hackathon style case competition themed around international development for undergrad students to get involved in. You guys really got a taste of the experience tonight. It is a rapid fire kind of innovation challenge, but we believe that this has the potential to breed a lot of creative, interesting thinking. So first of all, while we're getting started, I want to give a big thank you to our entire WMGIC executive team. This whole thing would not have been possible without the hard work of the 10 students who are undergrads here at William & Mary and who have been working all year long on the competition. So a screenshot of everybody, and I'll give a shout out to everybody we've got. We have August, our event director, Giselle, our marketing director, Thomas, of course, our executive director, Kieran, our external relations director, Kiefer and Ben, both there, who are our creative directors, Yuche, who is our career fair coordinator, Mike, who was our internal recruitment director, Grace, who is our external recruitment director, and that last one is myself, and I was the development director of WMGIC this year. And of course, we want to extend a huge thank you to all of our judges and mentors who came and who donated their weekend to us here. Incredibly kind of you all to be here. And it was incredibly interesting to get to hear everyone's presentations today. And to get to hear all of the judges and mentors' thoughts that went along with it. Yeah, here's a brief screenshot from the Career and Networking Expo yesterday, or this was the second social hour event, which was our Judges and Mentors Brief and Networking. If you all didn't get to be there, it was just a very cool event. I know our students really enjoyed getting to talk to you all about the career paths that you've taken so far. And so thank you all so much for giving your time to that. And then lastly, last big thank you, of course, is that we want to thank the participants for coming out for a weekend and for dedicating your innovative thinking, bringing your talents, your unique perspective, your interesting take, and your brilliant minds to our competition. So thank you all so much for being here. Truly would not be possible without you all. Yeah, so like we said in the opening ceremony, we are so impressed with the turnout of students this year from 15 different universities, including universities from across the United States and from Singapore. So very impressive this year. We have never really had a turnout like this before because usually our competitions are hosted in person. And so the pandemic has taken a lot of things from us, but I am very grateful for this incredible opportunity that we have to collaborate and to work with students from all of these different from universities across the country and internationally. I'm very impressed with the caliber of thinking that we saw today and yesterday. Really incredible stuff that you guys have been creating today. And I see that all of our final judges are actually entering the Zoom right now. So a big welcome to them. Yeah. This is just a screenshot of our opening ceremony yesterday, which was a great breakdown of what we do here. And it's really great to see all of your faces, even if they're just in our little Zoom boxes. And our last thank you, I want to shout out all of our sponsors again, who have been really integral in making this year's competition happen. So I just want to go through and name everybody very quickly. Our platinum sponsors are William & Mary Sustainability Department, the William & Mary Global Research Institute, and the William & Mary Institute for Integrative Conservation. And these three sponsors specifically have been really integral in building our model to the way it is now. They've all contributed so many irreplaceable thoughts and ideas and practices that we've incorporated into what we do now. And truly, WMGIC is the way it is right now because of these three sponsors who have provided us just the most guidance that we have. As well, our gold sponsors are the William & Mary Student Assembly and William & Mary Student Affairs departments. Our silver sponsors are the Allen B. Miller Entrepreneurship Center, the Cohen Career Center at William & Mary, DH Infrastructure, Society for International Development, the Washington chapter, UCROP Studio for Innovation and Design, and the William & Mary Whole of Government Center of Excellence. Big thank you to our media partners, Diplomatic Courier and PCDN, and also our other campus partners, Tribe Innovation, the William & Mary International Relations Club, and the William & Mary Consulting Club. Big thank you to all of these organizations that support our mission and who really support us in everything that we do here. And now, really briefly, I'm just going to tell you guys about how this closing ceremony is going to operate. We'll be here for an hour, and we're going to get to hear some of these really exciting student pitches that we just had the pleasure of hearing in the Zoom rooms all day long today that our judges were listening to. So here is the schedule of how things will go today. We are going to announce the runner-up and winners of each stream, governance, social entrepreneurship, technology, and business consulting. And we're going to hear a 5-minute pitch from each of the winners in those streams. And after we hear the 5-minute pitches from each of those streams, our panel of final judges, who are a incredibly diverse and interesting selection of people who are all pretty senior within their organizations, so it's a real honor to have them here today. They're going to hear all 4 of those pitches, and then they're going to leave to deliberate, and they're going to decide who is first, second, third, and fourth. During those deliberations, we'll listen to short 3-minute pitches from the runner-up in each stream. We'll hear a short announcement from one of our platinum sponsors, the IIC. We would like to talk to you about if you're interested in becoming an exec board member of WMGIC next year. And then we will announce those top 4 winners, say some final remarks, and we won't keep you guys any longer on this Saturday afternoon. It's a pretty beautiful day outside, so I hope we get to enjoy it. To introduce all of our final judges, I'm going to call up our Executive Director, Thomas.
Thanks, Hannah. And as I mentioned at the opening ceremonies, this final judging panel has been something that us at the WMGIC team have been thinking about over the past year or two. And I guess due to this virtual format, we are able to make this a reality. And these 7 judges are just truly incredible and remarkable. And I can't believe it myself, and hopefully all of us share the joy of having all of them together on this Saturday afternoon with us. So without further ado, our first final judge is Alexis Bonnell, who is an emerging technology evangelist at Google, and who is also the former Chief Innovation Officer at USAID.
Am I supposed to say hello?
Go for it.
Hi, everyone. I'm super excited to be here. Really impressed by what we've seen so far. Yeah, that's who I am. Happy to be here. Thank you.
And then we have Craig Broderick, who is a corporate director and the former chief risk officer from Goldman Sachs, and a distinguished William & Mary alum, if I may add. Craig.
Nice to be here. Thank you.
And then we have Bobby Jefferson, who's a vice president and chief technology officer of DAI Global Health. Bobby?
Hello, welcome everyone. Glad you're spending your Saturdays together. This is fantastic. Looking forward. Excellent.
I see Anne waving her hand. This is this is great. Now, next we have Dal Martin, who's the manager for global restoration initiatives at the World Resource Institute.
Hi, everyone.
And then we have Dal's husband, Nick, who is the president and CEO of Tech Change.
I feel like we should have coordinated something here because we're in the same shot, husband and wife team. But anyhow, back to you, Thomas. We're excited to be here.
And we have Trish Martinelli from the National Security Innovation Network.
Hello, everybody. I'm really glad to be here. I kind of feel like the lightweight among these heavyweight judges, but really, really happy to be here with you.
And last but not the least, Kenzie Reynoso from Fullery Capital Partners. Kenzie?
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me. Amazing work so far and look forward to hearing the pitches.
So before I turn it back to Hannah, the final judges, they started meeting an hour ago and were shared the final pitch decks from the 4 finalists. And so then now without further ado, we'll announce them and for the final judges to listen to their pitches, and they'll go to deliberate while we listen to the runner-ups pitch. Hannah.
Yeah, so without further ado, we're going to go ahead and announce the winners and the runner-ups of each stream, starting with the governance stream, which I had the pleasure of sitting in on the judging this morning, and I heard just so many incredible, innovative ideas. It must have been a challenge for our judges to pare it down to just 2. So the governance stream runner-up is Dinwiddie 300. Congratulations to Dinwiddie 300. And the first place in the governance stream is the Collective Good. Congratulations to that team. The Collective Good, are you guys ready to give a 5-minute pitch of your proposal?
Yes, we are. What's the best way to approach? Like, are we sharing screens or are you handling the slides?
Yes, please do share your screen.
Okay.
Gus will make you the co-host. Tell us who. I'll do that right now.
Ariana. Ariana.
Oh, okay, if you're already a co-host, then go for it.
So give me just 30. All right, just give me like 10 seconds. I'm gonna pull it up and.
No problem.
And then just to let everyone know going forward, I'll also be the timekeeper. So it's 5 minutes. And then at the end of that 5 minutes, I will cut you off. Okay.
Are you able to see this okay? Okay.
Okay, is it okay if I get started? Yeah, I can't see anyone. Okay, yes. Okay, hi everyone. Thank you so much for being here. My name is Erica, and along with Ariana and Alec, we are the Collective Good. And the title of our project is A Community-Centered Approach to Sustainability in Kalimantan. So our overarching and guiding question was, what is best for the Kalimantan palm oil industry? But upon reflecting on this question, we realized we didn't know, and neither do you, because we haven't asked the communities that are affected by the palm oil industry.
And so we started out with 3 overarching objectives. Number 1, we need to redefine sustainability and flip power dynamics to center communities and their families. Number 2, we need to enforce existing regulations that are already on the books in Indonesia. And finally, we need to improve farming practices to address the root issues of sustainability. And here's how we're going to get there on the next slide. We're going to first create community boards within the Ministry of Agriculture. Second, we're going to audit large and small firms to ensure compliance with existing regulations in Indonesia. And finally, we're going to provide education and capital for small farmers.
So as Alec mentioned, our first policy approach is creating community advisory boards. So we drew inspiration for this idea from the concept of community-based farming management and community-based conservation, which is essentially a model of collaborative forest management in which government, NGOs, and corporations work together on land management and palm oil industry activity. And so this approach and this strategy places the agency for policymaking directly in the hands of the community. It supports responsible governance and increases a sense of agency overall for community members, especially for Indigenous communities who are adversely impacted by the palm oil industry, as well as for low-income workers who have suffered human rights violations. But we have seen in Nepal and other countries such as South Korea that community-based farm management, this structure and strategy has shown success and is linked to reduced deforestation, lower carbon emissions, as well as reduced poverty.
So for our case, we decided to take on the role of being the Ministry of Agriculture, which is situated underneath the government of the Republic of Indonesia. Within that, we took it on to create the Department of Community Engagement and Restoration. And within that, we created 2 programs that they would oversee, that being the farmer education program and these community advisory boards. And the reason which we decided to go in with the Ministry of Agriculture, because with our community-based approach and this way of reversing a previously and historically paternalistic approach to policymaking, we're allowing this as a way to still get amazing and really crucial community voices in decision making. And so the community boards are going to be, like we said, they're just going to be working as a part of the Department of Community Engagement and Restoration. And the Community Advisory Board will be comprised of farmers, community leaders, and general community members. And there will be 3 of each and there will be 5 community advisory boards in each of the 5 provinces, and 9 community board members will be on each, and they'll be receiving a stipend for their participation on the Community Advisory Board.
Our second approach to this policy issue is to implement an audit system, because the problem here isn't that Indonesia doesn't have laws protecting labor and environmental rights. It's that 81% of large and small palm oil firms are not following those laws. So we don't have a policy gap here. We have a monitoring and enforcement gap, and we don't want to add to unnecessary bureaucracy when there is no real policy gap that exists. So the way this audit system will work is that large palm oil firms will pay into a collective fund, and that fund will be used to hire a private auditing agency. We chose to go with the private auditing agency because the 2016 audit found that the government did not have the capacity to implement their own audit system. The funds will be collected, and we'll be hiring a private auditor with that. And the community will be a part of that auditing process. On the next slide, this is data from a randomized control trial in India that shows that auditing works significantly correlated with positive outcomes. And finally, on the next slide, I'll walk you through our last policy, which is that if you fail the audit, you're going to farmer field school, or you have the opportunity to go to farmer field school, where you'll get up to date on modern farming technology. And you'll also have access to micro financing after you finish that course. If you pass the audit, then we will call upon you to teach at the farmer field school. So this is completely community centered.
And that's 5 minutes.
Thank you so much, Team Collective Good. Now sorry, I'll let that come up. Everyone can see my screen? Okay, now to introduce the social entrepreneurship winners, we're gonna have Judge Beth Perry, who has actually been with WMGIC for 4 years now. So it's a delight to have you back again this year. Beth, if you would like to go ahead.
Thank you so much. It's been a delight to be here, and I'm so pleased to announce the runner-up and finalists from the social entrepreneurship stream. I want to say that it was incredibly close. We had 5 creative and compelling proposals that were, it was neck and neck. But our runner-up is UT Longhorns, which had a great women's economic entrepreneurship approach to how to have more sustainable health-driven outcomes in the palm oil sector and what it might mean to have women-led sustainable palm oil. And then our finalist is the Global Development Guild, which just was tremendously creative and we think it's a great start. I hope you enjoy hearing from them as much as we did.
Yes, congratulations, Global Development Guild. Are you guys ready to present your 5-minute pitch?
Yes. Are you? Okay, sorry, give us 1 minute. We're just going to share screen really quick.
And quick announcement, the
Okay,
final judges.
wait, let me change it so that everybody's seeing. Switch this a little bit.
Sorry, the final judges had agreed to ask each of the teams a question. And so we'll get the final judges to add the team's question at the end of all 4 presentations.
Just a quick question. Can the Zoom username Global Development Guild be given screen sharing permissions?
Yes.
Were you able to hear us? We were sharing screen on another computer. It's called Global Development Guild. Would it be possible to get screen sharing permissions just so we can get our presentation up?
Yes, sorry.
August?
Got it now.
Oh, wait. Oh, sorry. I realized I muted this one. Sorry. Okay. So, hi, I'm Laura.
I'm Lily.
I'm Rodate.
I'm Josh.
And we are the Global Foundation. Yeah, so the problem that we were faced with is that the production of palm oil currently leads to a lot of deforestation and many environmental issues that harms both the environment and the protection of endangered species and the people who live on there and their ability to use the land for their resources. Individual smallholder farmers produce 40% of the palm oil in Kalimantan and are subsequently contributing to the destruction of the ecosystems that they call home. But they lack the incentives and skill education to meet the RSPO guidelines that guide sustainable palm oil production. And large palm oil producers discourage smallholder independence and decrease smallholder market power and their ability to have financial stability. So this is where we were coming in with our solution.
So our innovation is mainly focused on effectiveness and scale and building up previous projects in the region and within the sustainable palm oil industry. And some of those previous projects might include education workshops and company farm relationships, but we want to include financing, education, and a trade relationship in one. So our specific solution would be to incentivize smallholder farmers to gain RSPO credibility through provided equipment loans and first purchase rights on behalf of our funder, Earth Balance, and to educate farmers on sustainable practices via the World Wildlife Foundation educational workshops.
Yeah, and Earth Balance is a US-based corporation. They produce a lot of products that are meant to be for the vegan consumers, and they use a lot of palm oil in their products. So they are incentivized also to work with us so that they can have a direct supply of sustainable palm oil that will help them grow and scale their production.
So an example of how a smallholder farmer joins our program is first they apply to join our program, then they receive initial cash transfers and necessary equipment loan to be able to meet the RSPO certification and be able to implement the skills that they learn in the WWF educational workshop. So after they receive the equipment, then they attend the educational workshop. And within the year, the short-term goal is for the smallholder farms to complete the RSPO certification, and then Earth Balance would purchase the newly sustainable crop. And overall, Guild will oversee sustainable farming practices and contract compliant behavior.
Yeah, so our short-term goals are to increase the number of small farms with RSPO certifications. And we hope to do that by the end of the year. Overall, we want to support the autonomy and empowerment of smallholder farms within the growing sustainable palm oil industry. Longer term, we want to improve the environmental conditions associated with the palm oil industry overall. The RSPO certification is going to stop farmers from doing things like burning peat and clearing new land, which is going to really benefit the environment and human health. We also want to protect their overall stake in the palm oil industry, allow them to grow more market share and to have more of a voice for sustainability overall. We want to provide them with economic security through this long-term relationship with earth balance. And over time, we would like to build up to a stricter certification called POIG, or Project on Palm Oil. Sorry, I can't remember the exact name, but it's okay. It's stricter, and it is what earth balance prefers, but we think it's important to establish this baseline of RSPO certification first. Thank you for listening to our proposal. We are the Guild Foundation.
Thank you guys so much. Big congratulations to the winning teams in social entrepreneurship, UT Longhorns and Global Development Guild. If you all will stop screen sharing, then we can, thank you. Yeah, another round of applause for Global Development Guild and UT Longhorns. And now we're going to go ahead and introduce the winners for the technology stream. And to introduce those winners, I want to invite Judge Laura Sauls to tell us about the team she heard from today.
Thank you so much. We had really fantastic presentations that covered the gamut from private companies to international NGOs to indigenous peoples' rights organizations, and the technological innovations and proposals they came up with were really interesting. Our runner-up in this case was International Rock Stars, who did a great job focusing on labor and problems of identifying child and labor and forced labor in the supply chain. And our winner was Data Dreamers, who represented a private company in making a proposal about how to predict where illegal deforestation might happen in the future, which I'll let them tell us all about. Thank you.
Thanks so much. If someone could give me screen sharing, I can share our presentation.
Are you all ready?
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Joseph.
I'm Kimya.
It's Marilyn here. Oh, okay. So, hi, we're the Data Dreamers, and we seek to use predictive modeling to track future illegal palm oil plantations in Kalimantan. So why is this important? Well, the government has actually a huge interest in tracking down these illegal palm oil plantations. In a 2019 government investigation, the Indonesian government found out that 1/5 of its running palm oil plantations were running illegally.
So we represent the Indonesian startup company Hera, which is a blockchain-based data exchange company, and it has been collecting data on farmlands and other agricultural identifiers in Indonesia for the past 16 years.
We propose a two-part solution to tracking future illegal palm oil plantations using the pre-existing data that Hera has collected, the blockchain-based technology, and the methodologies that already exist within the company. First, to employ geospatial data to create a standard interactive map of palm oil plantations in Kalimantan. And second, to use AI predictive modeling to identify where new plantations are likely to arise in order to help the government effectively allocate their resources to prevent future illegal plantations. HARA datasets cover a range of categories from farmer-related data to ecological data. A few examples, we have addresses of farms and weather and soil data. This will aid the geospatial data visualization because in terms of the gap, before this, Indonesia's One Map initiative is one example of trying to create a standard map that is publicly available, but the primary obstacle is that there isn't a reliable data set that is available and can be validated. With our proposed solution, we would be able to create this publicly available map that would identify two key points on a map. First, the legal plantations we are aware of, and pre-identified illegal palm oil plantations based on where they've been identified in the past.
For the predictive AI modeling, we are trying to address deficiencies that were in a research paper that was trying to be able to do something really similar in trying to identify the expansion or / locations of illegal palm oil plantations. And so the two deficiencies mentioned were limited coverage and also unvalidated data. But since, as we represent the company HERA, as we collect more data and as our fundamental, our data fundamentally comes from validated data, we knew we had the tools and technology to be able to address those two deficiencies found in that research paper. And so in our predictive AI modeling, some of the data we try to consider when training our model is the distance away from the nearest police station, the soil quality and elevation. Of course, there may be other variables that are important that maybe we just don't know at the moment. And so we thought we could use clustering techniques in order to be able to find those important parameters and variables so that we can find further variables of interest for training our predictive model. And then what we plan on doing is being able to take in that newly refined data to address those two deficiencies that I was mentioning earlier and put them under a linear regression model, which was the type of model used in the research paper.
And here are who our target client is. In the short term, we would be focusing on the geospatial data visualization part, and it would be an open data source both to the general public and to the government. We think this will incentivize legal farmers and small scale farmlands to self-volunteer their data to the database. And for our long-term goal, we will be focusing on predictive AI modeling, and it would only be available to the government and law enforcement agencies because we wouldn't want this to fall into the wrong hand.
In terms of the short-term benefits, which we define as the first year, we have the data, the technology, and the methodologies already available. Thus, our primary cost is the labor required to create the standard data visualization. In the long run, however, the cost in the short term will be insignificant compared to the benefits it can offer, because by reducing illegal palm oil plantations in the long run, we can ensure that the profit stream from the industry is actually being contributed to the country's GDP and therefore being used for infrastructure such as healthcare and education. In terms of environmental benefits in the short run, having a streamlined source of information and a standard map for humanitarian, environmental, and government organizations to access is already an incredible landmark in and of itself, considering that is yet to be accomplished. But then being able to use that to predict where could illegal plantations arise could also reduce deforestation, preserve indigenous lands, and preserve biodiversity in the long run.
I'm gonna cut. Yeah, you guys are good. Yep. That's time.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, another big round of applause for international rock stars and data dreamers. Congratulations to both of those teams and very, very good work. We're going to go ahead and introduce the runner-ups and the winners for the final stream, which is business consulting. And to present the runner-up and the winner in that category, I'm going to invite Earl Carr, one of our business consulting judges.
Good afternoon, everyone. And this is my first time being a judge, so thank you so much for having me. I'm also, in addition being a proud William & Mary alumni, my wife is also a William & Mary alumni, and she is watching the kids, so I could be here, so I'm thankful for her. And I just wanted to say we had 5 incredible teams that presented, and on behalf of my fellow judges, Anne and Dan, we would like to announce number 1, the winning team is BAFKIN International Associates. Well done. And then for runner-up, we have Farney, Manousos, and Jacobson Corp. Congratulations.
Yes, congratulations to both of those teams. Very, very good work today. BAFKIN, are you guys ready to present a 5-minute pitch of your proposal?
Yeah, can I have share privileges?
Mm-hmm.
Good afternoon. We are an elite team of consultants from the BAFKIN International Advisory Group here to present our solution to the Kalimantan palm oil crisis.
To address this problem from the lens of the private sector, we sought to maximize global impact. We thus chose to partner with our clients, Amazon, one of the largest companies in existence today, valued at $1.7 trillion US, and Whole Foods, a significant player in the global grocery industry with a high potential for future growth. However, despite its image as a supporter of organic fair trade products, Whole Foods significantly falls behind its competitors on palm oil regulation, failing to join key international frameworks such as RSPO and Palm Oil Innovation Group, and presides over a large unregulated and untraceable palm oil supply chain. Indeed, 50% of their shelf products contain palm oil. Our objective is to vertically integrate a top-to-bottom sustainable palm oil supply chain for Whole Foods and Amazon to provide high-quality standards for the Whole Foods 365 and Amazon Essentials product lines via a certification scheme, responsible sourcing pilot in Kalimantan, and a land buyback program.
Whole Foods should not simply engage in the existing sustainable palm oil market. The problem with which is that sustainable and unsustainable palm oil have leaks in between the two markets. Whole Foods' new sustainability supply chain will address these problems with 2 key interventions. First, an improved certification program, whereby Amazon and Whole Foods will adopt the existing RSPO certification scheme in partnership with the Rainforest Alliance NGO. This certification will go beyond the requirements set by the RSPO, placing value on sustainability and equity. Importantly, Whole Foods will directly buy from these local growers, ensuring that farmers are paid a fair value for the value of their palm oil products. Second, Whole Foods and Amazon will place observers in the key steps along the supply chain. These monitoring agents will accomplish the goal of vertical integration without the need to significantly invest in new capital by acquiring entire factories. These agents will address the problem of mixing oils as well as ensuring grower compliance with standards.
And finally, for the community aspect, Amazon will start a buyback program, which targets the consumers of indigenous populations, impoverished farmers, and women. Through the process of buying farms and plantations, they will be able to employ these consumers and sign an initial buyback contract, which lasts for 10 years, allowing these people to be able to buy the farms, along with a contingent extended policy to allow Amazon to be the sole purchasers for the next 20 to 25 years.
As for environmental benefits on Kalimantan, the growers and suppliers who in the past have taken steps to improve their sustainability will be rewarded, and those who have not will be incentivized to reform their practices in order to do business with Amazon and Whole Foods. In the long term, palm oil producers in the Kalimantan region will be held to a higher standard by one of the world's largest companies, thus promoting other buyers and growers to do the same. The responsible sourcing pilot will likely to expand globally if Amazon and Whole Foods as industrial leaders source 100% of their palm oil from sustainable growers. Next, for financial impacts, environmentally conscious consumers will continue to see Whole Foods as a responsible company in alignment with their personal values, thus increasing target customer retention. As for cost, the certification program is a feasible, low-cost, long-term, and expandable solution to a complex problem. And this mathematical model illustrates that producing palm oil alone in the region yields more than 5 million rupiah per month. And after some calculations, we concluded that it is actually very financially viable for Amazon to support local farmers in this way. As for the local context, under the contract, Amazon will ensure that independent smallholders receive training, supervision, and support, leading to increased productivity and concern for sustainability. With vertical integration, Amazon will also ensure that Amazon-owned plantations have enough demand from refineries in the Whole Foods supply chain, which will reduce the number of middlemen to cut down profit margins. All of these will yield more long-term return for farmers.
Through our plan, Whole Foods 365 brand gains a competitive advantage over companies like Walmart and Erewhon that are focusing on efficiency and sustainability. They're also able to tackle a problem before the market notices it, avoiding future PR crises, just as Starbucks has done with coffee beans. Our gain creators include more control over its supply chain, ability to raise prices for higher quality goods, and marketing Whole Foods as a step above the competition in global sustainability.
I'm gonna cut in here and say like that's 5 minutes.
Right.
Maybe like one last sentence.
Thank you so much for
As a way to just end our program, we'd like to say that environmental sustainability is corporate sustainability for Amazon and Whole Foods.
Thank you guys so much. Great work, Team BAFKIN.
So now how we're going to proceed is that we're going to get the 4 final judges to ask a question each. And without further ado, I'll announce them first, and then we'll just go one by one. Let's have all the 4 questions asked first, and then we'll get each of the 4 teams to answer them. And then let's try to keep it at 30-second max, being mindful of time. So Trish for governance, Kenzie for social entrepreneurship, Alexis for tech, and Craig for business consulting. Trish, go right ahead.
Yeah, my one question might have 2 parts. The community-centric model is good, but who gets audited? Is it every farmer, or is it only people in the collective? And then the second part of that is who pays for the audits in the education for the farmers?
Yes, thank you very much for that question. As to your first part of the question, every firm in this region will be audited, including both large and small farmers or processors. However, the consequences will be different between them. If a small-sized farmer is found to have not followed the regulations appropriately, then we will offer them the opportunity to go to the training center, whereas a large corporation will be required to pay a fine. And so we hope that, and this will connect to your second question, we hope that those increased fines will significantly offset the cost of both the audits and the training program, given that right now there really is no enforcement of existing regulations. And so this is an entirely new income stream, pretty much.
Thank you. Kenzie?
My question's for the GLD Foundation. Is surrounding the terms of the loan for the smallholder farmers. Will the farmers be beholden to GLD and Earth Balance, and for how long? And do they get to keep the equipment that the loan funded? And what if Earth Balance moves away from this program?
So pretty much, this is designed for them to be able to use us for one cycle, which is about 4 years, and later, not to create that type of dependency. We are making the assumption that they will be able to generate the revenue necessary to purchase those tools on their own. And say Earth Balance does pull out, that's why we have our headquarters set in the US, just to be able to pair with another corporation to be able to continue this. Palm oil is something that is heavily dependent for, or the economy is heavily dependent on palm oil. So we definitely believe that if Earth Balance backs out, we will be able to find a different corporation.
Yeah, and our main goal is to help the small scale farmers in the area be able to have autonomy, to be able to have financial stability for the future. And we want to help them build that, but we don't want them to be dependent on other people in order to make a livelihood. We want them to have a stake in the palm oil industry.
Great, thank you.
Hi, my question is for the data dreamers. Data dreamers, two questions for your, or a two-parter. One is, what do you see as any of the technological barriers, online versus offline connectivity? And the second and most important, I think, is what do you see as the incentive structure around making sure people actually participate with the data?
In terms of barriers, we want to ensure that the criteria for filling what makes up a good plantation is validated, and that we have a variety of information and data available in order to then have sufficient data to teach the machine learning how to detect what areas would make up a good plantation. And if we can figure that out, because right now we have a lot of physical data points on soil and weather quality, but we may want to expand our data sets to include proximity to police stations, for example, to better understand where might an illegal plantation aim to create a new location. And then that information can be used for the government to reduce man labor by spreading it across and concentrate it where needed. And Marilyn, if you want to take the second part.
Yeah, so for the incentive part, we're hoping that the public availability of our data in terms of the data visualization can encourage legal individual farmers or small scale plantations to voluntarily report their data, because it could act as a marketing strategy. Also, they would want people to know that they clearly identify themselves as being legal, and that would speed up the process of the expansion of our data, which would in turn encourage adoption of the government of our data, of our database.
Parent organization for HARA, the company we represent, also partners with organizations such as the World Bank, which could serve as another incentive source for international aid and funding to promote a streamlined data source that would be available for government and humanitarian use.
I think the judges are getting called back, so that might be why you don't hear from us.
Okay, thank you to all of our judges for those questions. I believe that they're entering a breakout room right now, where they're going to do.
We have Craig to ask the last question for the business consulting team. Sorry for the technical errors.
That's okay, Thomas. Can you hear me okay?
We can.
Excellent. Okay, so for the BAFKIN team, thanks. We were just interested in more detail on your financial model, and in particular, how much do you think it would raise costs to Whole Foods and Amazon consumers for the programs that you propose? How does it compare to what consumers would actually be willing to pay in this regard? And then in the context of a global market for palm oil, how much market power do you think Amazon and Whole Foods have? I mean, clearly a lot in the US, but as mentioned, this is a global issue, and you just wonder how material their overall contribution would be.
Yeah, I think that's a great question, and the incredible value of partnering with Amazon and Whole Foods is the potential for future growth in this sector. So Amazon is clearly dedicated towards sort of continuing the growth of Whole Foods, and they're exploring a ton of new technologies to support that growth. However, if their brand image is compromised by sort of, related to this palm oil sort of supply chain, that would pose a significant issue for the company. So I think sort of the company would be willing to make sure that that message and their brand image is consistent. As for the consumer is sort of the ideal consumer because they're already very conscious about sustainability. They're making a valid decision to shop at Whole Foods, knowing that the prices might be higher, but they are aware of sort of the broader economic cost associated with Whole Foods products, and are willing to pay that cost, to make sure that they're buying into a sustainable product. If anyone else from my team wants to add on, they can as well.
So regarding your second question, with the global impact, Amazon does have a very large worldwide reach currently, not so much Whole Foods because it's a very US-centric store. However, we do expect Amazon to start expanding overseas in the grocery and retail area as well. And because 50% of packaged goods are involve the use of palm oil, we think this would have a large impact throughout the organization. And this is only phase 1 of our plan. Beyond the 1-year implementation, we want all of Amazon, including Amazon Essentials, to implement this supply chain as well, so that hopefully we can have a worldwide reach.
Okay, thank you so much for our teams and to our final judges for those thought-provoking questions. Our final judges are now going to be sent into a breakout room where they will have 10-15 minutes to deliberate and come back with our official winners. So thank you to our final judges for that. In the meantime, we're going to hear some presentations from the runners-up. So, like I said, we're going to hear some presentation from the runners-up. Absolutely 3 minutes max on these pitches, and because we're short on time, we're not going to be giving screen sharing capabilities. So, if Dinwiddie 300 would like to tell us a little bit about your pitch right here in this Zoom, please begin whenever you're ready.
Our project proposal is called SPOC, which stands for Sustainable Palm Oil Cooperative. And SPOC will be a pilot co-op problem designed to help small farmers. It will be implemented in West Kalimantan and backed by the Ministry of Agriculture. The program is based around the idea of using the structure of a co-op to leverage the power of smallholders. This will hopefully reduce the control of large corporations over the industry, leading to safer local conditions and more sustainable agricultural practices. We want this to be a bottom-up, not a top-down process. The project will be community-based and regulated by an oversight board composed of community members. Throughout the process, the suggestions of the community will come first. NGOs such as the RSPO will partner with SPOC to educate members of the co-op about sustainable farming practices. And over time, the project will incorporate more opportunities for economic growth. It is comprised of 3 stages.
Creating this co-op with the ultimate goal being the domestication of the value chain is a viable, comprehensive solution to issues surrounding the palm oil industry in Indonesia. First, we will teach farmers who make up a large portion of the people harvesting palm nuts sustainable farming practices. It will also bolster the economy in the region and cut back on abuses of humanitarian and labor rights from large corporations. Additionally, the long-term goal of insourcing will promote sustainable development of the country. Eco-friendly industrialization will progress the quality of life while simultaneously protecting the environment and increasing local jobs. This policy is a long-term investment that will benefit the environment and economy of the region. We concluded that it is imperative to look well past 1 year because since many government plans are short-term, when the term ends, the community is left stranded. This is an innovative policy because traditional approaches of palm oil co-ops outsource the raw materials after harvesting. Instead, our plan will insource steps in the supply chain, creating a diverse economy as well as focus on protecting the environment.
Yeah, and going a little bit into the specifics of the different phases. So phase 1 is basically the first year of our plan, where we are aiming to promote the cooperative, recruit leadership, partner with the RSPO, focus on community development, foundations of byproduct use, and begin meetings and sales of cooperative produce. And then from there, we have 3 headers to the phases, which are the environment, labor, and the economy. Then our second phase is focusing on growth to expand the initiatives of the cooperative and domesticate the value chain. So specifically, we want to partner with NGOs, bolster social initiatives, shift to more community-based leadership, and then expand palm shell use as aggregates in cement. And then lastly, the third phase is expansion, where we're hoping to use this as a model for similar programs in Indonesia, but modifying according to regional variations.
Thank you.
And that's all.
Thank you all so much. That was great to hear from the governance stream. Next up, we have the UT Longhorns. If you would all like to give us a 3-minute pitch of your idea.
Hi, everyone. We are Team UT Longhorns from the University of Texas at Austin. Our presentation is called Breaking the Glass Ceiling, and we are proposing a farm cooperative to empower women in the palm oil industry in Kalimantan.
Our story begins with an Indonesian woman who has been working on a palm oil plantation in Western Kalimantan for years, spraying toxic pesticides. She is now complaining of fevers, coughing, and nosebleeds, but can't afford to seek healthcare services because she makes only $2 a day with no health benefits.
This is only one of the many stories of the exploitation of women in the palm oil industry, which we have identified as our problem of interest. Women laborers are disproportionately subject to labor and wage exploitation, unsafe and toxic working conditions, and sexual and reproductive health abuses by male supervisors.
Our proposed solution is to establish a women-led palm oil farm cooperative, and we have 3 primary goals for this project. The first goal is to reduce the exploitation of women working in the palm oil industry. Our second goal is to increase their agency and financial literacy. And our final goal is to develop sustainable agricultural practices within the cooperative.
We are representing Permaculture Kalimantan, an NGO based in Indonesia dedicated to supporting communities to live in a sustainable manner that integrates the natural environment, people, and culture. Our plan is to take a 3-pronged approach that consists of establishing the farm cooperative, education and training, and financial empowerment.
Educating and training the women in the works of the palm oil industry is essential to promoting sustainable and equitable growth. This program, using our NGO's knowledge of local culture to create a culturally competent education program, we will tailor this program to the women in the community. And while the women learn from us, we will also learn from them.
During the first year of the project, we'll be providing the women with wages that are comparable to other palm oil plantations while the farm is being set up. After this, the farm will begin generating profits, which will support the farm, the women's incomes, and the diversification of revenues. Our long-term goal is for the farm to become financially self-sufficient and profitable so that our involvement can be safely phased out.
By a year, we hope to produce yield on the farm that is comparable to other farms, meet all of RSPO sustainability standards, and measure greater empowerment and knowledge using surveys.
And our long-term goal is to create a network of self-sustaining women-led farm cooperatives across Kalimantan dedicated to supporting Indonesian women in the palm oil industry.
Through this project, we will address issues of the exploitation of women within the industry by creating a farm cooperative led by women to empower women. We hope to improve regulatory issues in the palm oil industry faced by this local marginalized community. Thank you and Hukam.
Thank you all. Thank you, UT Longhorns, for that terrific pitch. And next up, we have the winners from the tech stream, the runners up from the tech stream. What was your team name again? International Rock Stars. How could I forget? Take it away if you're ready.
Hi everyone. So our project's name is Human Data for Humane Products, and we're basically taking a labor rights approach to regulating the Kalimantan palm oil industry. So our focus was on the gap in the existing research because we wanted to talk about the labor rights violations primarily because most of the data was super focused on environmental concerns. So our first thing was to look at, okay, is there a standard for how these workers are treated? And we looked at the Roundtable on Sustainable Palm Oil Standard, and we realized that it's 75% industry governed. So the companies that have stakehold in the industry are also the ones who are saying what standards work. And we found out that there was a lot of human trafficking child labor and trafficking. Yeah, so basically we acted as the Global March Against Child Labor NGO. And if you want to get into our goals.
Yeah, so between those two things, our primary goal was to survey and collect data from workers on labor rights violations to create some sort of accountability index that would allow labor, consumers, and potentially the Indonesian government to realize, to have some simple measure of what are we, like how are palm oil companies treating the area around them, both in the environment and in terms of their human resources. And then our secondary goal would be to share that index with the Indonesian government. So they're being encouraged to enforce those labor standards and to certify consumer goods that use palm oil for, through some framework like the Rainforest Alliance's frog stamp.
Yeah, so our first step was to define our novel index variables, where we found a variety of different environmental impacts of palm oil production that were specifically in line with the Rainforest Alliance's mission, as well as socioeconomic data that revolved around healthcare, gender equality, and economic development.
So in order to do our methodology, our collection of workers' data and how their conditions were depended on an SMS text survey. So we used existing frameworks to do that, and we did it because it's inexpensive and it's anonymous, so that workers wouldn't be intimidated to share if they weren't being treated properly. And some of these workers don't have phones, so we used a project with microfinancing loans to work with Bank Indonesia, and pretty much we would have them pay a small fee and we'd finance the rest, and then they take the survey for the phone, they get their phone, and then once they've taken the survey, we pay back the small loan that they paid for. And these projects have worked in a lot of different developing countries, and the phone coverage in Indonesia is already pretty great. So we knew that we had a framework to build upon.
Yeah, so part of what we did, in communicating the data that we collected is to create a dashboard for the accountability index that we said. We actually created a dashboard in Tableau. It's hosted on Tableau Public, and I'll send it in a bit. But it sort of shows, at a provincial level, what are the accountability scores for, each of the areas that we're talking about, so that we can target, solutions, and sort of to encourage people to start thinking about, how is palm oil production affecting the area around me, and what can I do about it? Both at a government level, at the consumer level for people that are getting the end products, and at a labor level for the people that are actually living in the situations that we're describing here.
Yeah, and then overall,
Wait, can I just interject? That's like the time limit. Sorry.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much for that pitch. That was so engaging. And last up, we have our runner-up from the business consulting stream, Farney, Manousos, and Jacobson.
Yes, hello all, good afternoon. I am Paige, this is Sarah and Olivia. Our project in the business consulting stream was based on decreasing deforestation and increasing inclusion of smallholder farmers in the supply chain, in a sustainable supply chain. So we are proposing a project based on behalf of Micra Indonesia, which is a foundation based in Indonesia that focuses on expanding and implementing microfinance and financial literacy projects. And we are proposing our project to our client Cargill, which is a major palm oil producer.
Okay, so I guess the question behind our project is that, or the problem behind our project is that smallholder farmers have short-term incentives to deforest rather than replant, because replanting requires a 2 to 3 year period of zero yield while the trees regrow, in which farmers are unable to cover their cost of living. However, with replanting better seeds, it leads to higher yields and therefore higher income for farmers in the long run. They're just unable to bear the short-term costs.
And then also when considering, analyzing the solution for this, we wanted to consider both what Cargill wanted and what small palm oil farmers wanted. So for Cargill, we kind of laid out 4 goals for them: include smallholder farmers into sustainable supply chains, build a better social responsibility image to consumers, create dependable relationships with suppliers, and remain competitive in the market, as other competitors have been doing this already. And then for small palm oil farmers, maintain and build financial stability, increase relationship with stable company to escape threat of exploitation by middlemen, and improve farm productivity. Yeah, so based on what we found from Cargill's needs and smallholder farmers' needs, we proposed a solution to bridge this gap through a financing scheme composed of 3 facets. And farmers would enter into this program with the understanding that they would purchase from Cargill for 9 months out of the year at a set price. The first facet of this program would be the provision of a new seed technology, which has been developed by another company that has a presence in Indonesia, that this seed decreases the amount of time that it takes for palm oil trees to mature by 20%, and it also increases yields by 20% at a fairly reasonable price. The second facet is a microfinancing program financed by Cargill and implemented by us, Micro Indonesia, which we have a lot of experience in. And as a local firm, we would be able to facilitate those relationships in a local context. Cargill would offer no interest loans for the period of time that farmers were replanting. Those about 2 years, they would be paid back over a long maturity period. And the microfinancing would obviously create a scheme where farmers could share the cost. And if those farmers broke the contract between the Cargill based on sustainability, they would be at risk of losing their partnership and therefore their income with Cargill. Members would therefore keep each other accountable, and we would use an existing Cargill technology that uses satellite imagery to keep track of suppliers' sustainability practices and deforestation, to monitor these projects and make sure that smallholder farmers are holding up their end of the bargain. And then finally, it would have a financial literacy component where we, which are experienced in financial literacy trainings, would come in and provide the microfinance leaders in the community trainings in financial literacy to maintain their savings.
Thank you. Thank you for that pitch. I think we're at time, aren't we, August?
Perfect.
Yes.
Thank you guys so much.
I'm gonna let the final judges back in from their breakout rooms.
Please do.
They're back in already. And sorry, I messaged everyone.
We're back.
Awesome.
Glad to
Hannah,
have
if you want to
everyone back.
unshare your screen.
I will.
And refresh.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess now's the drum roll time for for the big cash prizes.
Oh yeah, all 4 of those runner-ups that we just heard from will receive a cash prize of $250. So congratulations to all of those teams. And now, once my computer moves, we will get to see the top 4 teams. Like I said, Zoom is moving at a glacial pace on my computer today.
And is still downloading the 3-hour recording from the governance stream. So that's why.
It's actually at 41% done. So I will be sitting here for another 2 hours while that finishes downloading.
So all the teams' presentations will be uploaded onto YouTube. And then, so this is something we're doing new this year, is that for the first time, the different teams can actually watch the other teams present instead of only, knowing what their team did. Hannah?
Yep. Really quick before we announce the final judges, the IIC, one of our platinum sponsors, wanted to plug their immersive conservation mural pitch competition. The kinds of students who would participate in WMGIC seems like the best kinds of students to do well in this competition. So for more information about that, look on the IIC's website, William & Mary Sustainability, and also our personal WMGIC social media.
I changed the deck sequence, so let me share.
All good.
Awesome. Can you guys see my screen?
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's welcome Kenzie.
Hi, everyone. This was a really difficult decision for the judges, and we truly believe that we need all 4 of these solutions to work together to solve this problem. The 4th place winner with a prize of $500 is the Global Development Guild. We thought this was a really thoughtful, pragmatic solution to helping smallholder farmers convert their businesses to be more sustainable, and then also linking them with a global purchasing partner. So we congratulate you for your hard work, and thank you for all the thought you put into it.
And next up, Trish.
Yes, so I get the pleasure of announcing the team in 3rd place. And that team is, drumroll, maybe screenshot, the Collective Good. So I was, as a human-centered design advocate, what you had me at hello when you said that, you know, we don't know because we've never asked the question. And the thing that really resonated with me and with the rest of the panel is, first of all, we wish that we could just intertwine your resolution with some of the other combined presentations, because it was so good. But you know, bottom line up front, you recognize that change happens at the individual level. Collective regard is what drives behavior, and you zeroed in on that, and it was brilliant and just so good. Hats off to the Collective Good, and congratulations on your 3rd place.
Alexis?
Sure, absolutely. I am super excited, and the Google side of me, of course, is excited to announce the 2nd prize winner, runner-up as Data Dreamers, the technology stream. One of the things that I just loved about this is the fact that in order to combat anything like we've talked about today, you really have to have great information. And we really loved the way that you were looking at data that already existed, looking at data that could be created. And, you know, as some of the other judges said, the thing we think we are really excited about is the idea of that data actually coming into play with some of the other streams we heard from today. We think combining forces would just make a powerhouse of a solution. So congratulations and go data.
And last but not least, our grand prize winner, correct?
Yes, congratulations to the BAFKIN team. It was a great proposal. It was a great verbal presentation. What impressed us the most, I think, was that it was actionable in a way that, for example, you referenced the fact that in coffee, we'd already seen initiative of this sort take place, and it's been, you know, comparatively successful. You referenced Whole Foods being the ideal audience for this, and that's clearly right, and clearly a key consideration when you contemplate programs of this sort. You referenced the benefits to Amazon and Whole Foods getting ahead of this from a PR perspective. You know, also very compelling to corporate people who are increasingly focused on ESG considerations. So just a very good set of proposals. We now hope you can actually get to work on persuading them to pursue these. And so congratulations again.
So congrats to all winners. And before we officially wrap up, let's have Dow and Nick first, and then Bobby to kind of provide some closing remarks.
Thanks, Thomas. Look, huge congrats to all the teams that participated today. I was asking Thomas, so how long did folks have to prepare for this? Was it like a week, 2 weeks? And he was like, no, they started last night at 6:30. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, look at all that you all did in this sprint. It's pretty phenomenal. So we were blown away. We wish we'd known this much when we were your ages. And Dow, for some substance, anything else you want to share?
I was really impressed with, like many others have said, we'd love to have the combined vision of all these streams coming together, and just, to flag that World Resources Institute actually works on this data. And so if anybody's interested in actually making that idea come to life, come to us. And the idea of actually working with Amazon is almost too real because Jeff Bezos also provides funding for us to work on that type of data in helping improve the sustainability of their supply chain. So I was just really impressed of how much you know about this in reality and the complexity of it all. Congratulations.
Future job opportunity. Over to you, Bobby.
All right, thank you. So this has been a fantastic afternoon here. Being able to tie together blockchain solutions and flipping the power dynamics to empower the small farm holders, be able to hold accountable, Whole Foods, Amazon, and then helping those small holders to gain financial security. So you're really woven in, through all the presentations, ways that have impact and change. So I've been very glad to participate in this. And I'm happy as well for each of you, if you want to connect to me on LinkedIn, I'm happy to have chats and side chats. So I just wanted that way the conversation, at least for me, won't end. So really, hats off, and special thanks to all those who use Prezi and other stuff, not beyond PowerPoint, being very innovative, fantastic use. So good job.
Thank you, Bobby, and thank you to all the final judges for spending your afternoon with us, and to all the participants and our judges and mentors for going through this 24-hour journey with us and our second year online. And so I know we're a bit over, and I have 3 more slide decks. And so the first thing is we would want you to not join WMGIC 5, but join WMGIC 6. So another typo here. But our organizing team is the one that makes our competition possible, and we would love you to join us. And in our final survey, which I'm going to share in our next slide, if you're interested for Wilmere students, you can indicate that, and we will be reaching out to you. And then so you can fill out this survey, which is on our website, on our schedule, and we'll be sending it out later. And so this survey is there to help us improve as an exec team and improve our competition in the future. And we will love the feedback from all the student participants. And then the judges and mentors, you guys know about your survey. We have a specific separate survey for our guests. And thank you for joining us at WMGIC this year. It's lovely to do this again, second time online, our 5th year. And we can be excited enough to see how this research component that we're instituting work in the future. And hopefully, our judges and mentors and our final judges can kind of stay on with us and help us incorporate our winning solutions above and beyond this 24 hours and actually into the real world via applied research or working with our existing stakeholders. And I see Dal nodding. And I guess people are free to leave now, but thank you so much. And yeah, feel free to leave. But if you have any other closing comments, anyone that want to share, we'll just leave this time for people to share their last minute thoughts, but feel free to leave.
Round of applause for Thomas. How about that? Great work.
Amazing job, Thomas.
Hannah, well done. Everybody did great.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure to have you all this weekend.
Thank you so much for joining us. And congrats to the winners.